Hello, welcome back to Otter Pop Culture. Today we're going over the season 2 of The Sinner. So I know that this is a Netflix original series slash a USA Network series. So I'm assuming that because Netflix has like picked it up in some way. So the first season starred Jessica Biel, and it's about her character who like goes through some things and ends up murdering somebody in the beginning, and we kind of go through the whole season and kind of figure out why she did it and everything. So the whole entire thought of it is more of each season is a different thing. Same process of like an innocent person that like murders a person or a group, and then you kind of have to figure out like why that person does it, with the detectives like kind of going back and forth. So one of the main detective guys who was in the first one, who was a main detective in the first one, but now he's second, but still kind of important in the second season. Actually, he's very important. Is Henry Ambrose, who's played by Bill Pullman, who, if you remember him, he was in Independence Day, Casper, and like those kind of ones. I know he's been in like other bits too, like other movies too, but I haven't seen those movies. So he pretty much is the surrounding person. So in this season, because I saw the last season, but it's a lot to break down. So I'm just gonna break down this one. But I think that you should, if you're ever watching this, you should definitely just go in blind. I don't think you should definitely like. I'm gonna spoil a lot of things, but and kind of hold back some things too, so you can actually it makes more sense when you watch it than actually just hearing somebody explain it to you. So I don't think even with me explaining it to you, I think you still seeing it itself makes a lot more sense. So in this one, it's pretty much about a kid who ends up murdering two people who's supposedly his parents, and so go through the whole season trying to figure out why he did it. And it's interesting because you go through a lot of understanding of like what's like the psychology of the kid. So the kid's name is Julian. He's played by gotta pronounce these ones. Aja Henji, or Henge. He's been in Mr. Robot. So he pretty much murders these two people who we find out later on. By the way, spoiler alert. If you're going to watch this, if you've already seen it, great. If you haven't seen it, I would really recommend you stop this, go watch it, come back and see this again. So spoiler alert, I'll give you a 5-second little delay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're going in. So we find out that those two people aren't his actual parents, and that he is part of this cult that this whole city, this little town has been sending money to, due to the fact that the reason that they send money to keep this cult alive, because before. In the first half of the cult, in the beginnings of the cult, the leader would actually send in these like officers, rich men, and all that stuff like that inside the town to come in and pretty much abuse, rape these the women of the cult, and then call it kind of like, oh, they're really experiencing their trauma. They're really experiencing their trauma through these women. But you notice throughout the season that the women do not experience any trauma. They don't not experiencing trauma. They don't do the same release as the ritual that this guy is doing. The cult leader is offering for these men that are not even part of the cult. They're just outside of it. But over time you start seeing these happen, and it goes to the part like it's so twisted. So it ends up going to the one of the followers, who is Vera. She ends up, who's played by Carrie Coon, who's also been in Gone Girl, who was also in the first season. she pretty much poisons him with some ginseng weed tea. So he dies from that, but then she becomes the new leader and kind of applies her own perspective on the whole like cult. But unfortunately, the cult has a lot more history because the main majority of the cult's history has been under this guy, the ex-leader. So it's just she has to clean up a lot of things, but she also wants to keep it alive, the cult alive. So she keeps those secrets underground and just kind of just like forget and just start over again with her ruling. Unfortunately, things happen. So the reason that she decides to poison the leader is because due to the fact that the leaders were offering people to like come in and rape and abuse these women, the outside perspective is that one of the women ends up pregnant pregnant, and we think at first it's because of the raping and abusing from the outside people, but which is technically yes, but it's more the fact that she is this woman who's the baby of, or who's the biological mother of Julian, who her name is Marin. She gets pregnant by one of her friend's fathers. Who backstory? The friend is one of the officers of the town, police officers of the town named Heather. If you've seen her, she's the person that plays her is Natalie Paul, who's been in the Netflix original series You, as well as the Netflix original series Luke Cage. She pretty much is in love with Marin, but they're besties, and they go over, and she's always, and like throughout the whole life, like her early life, she's been over at Heather's house a lot, and one time they go to check out the cults, because they're just sitting over the hill and looking down at the cult area and thinking, let's go see what it's like, and not join, but just kind of go check it out. And pretty much Heather and Marin go check it out, and pretty much Marin just gets sucked into it, because she's had a bad history in her life of her parents being assholes, and her life has been a shit show. So Heather has been pretty much her partner in crime, or her kind of bestie / Heather has a crush on Marin, and they kind of share a thing back and forth, but Marin's not completely into it. But anyway, one day after a cult thing, she goes back to Heather's house, and pretty much Heather's dad ends up raping Marin and causing Marin to be pregnant. But due to that point, we kind of think the whole time they make us think it's pretty much the group that did it, but it's really him. And so she gets pregnant, but the whole cult keeps it under wraps. So with that said, that kind of triggers the whole thing, because with Vera realizing that oh my god, these women are getting abused, I need to speak up, and now that this baby is in the picture, I definitely have to take action. So she poisons the cult leader and takes in the baby herself, to the point where she even because Marin wasn't really ready for the baby, but she wanted to have a baby. It was kind of a confusing part, but pretty much she doesn't neglect it technically, but she's not really around it as often. So Vera takes over as breastfeeding it, because she starts lactating due to the whole motherly bond that she has with Julian, and so she becomes the adoptive mother. And Marin runs away after almost getting raped by one of the rich people. And so she runs away, but never comes back. She gets into drugs, goes to rehab, and all that stuff like that. But then over time, she does come back here and there. So fast forward. So Julian actually is... So because she comes back, she obviously gets pushed out, because they're like, no, you can't come back. So she plans on a thing where she talks to one of the cult members who has a soft spot for her, and she's just like, I really want my son. If you can go, just pull him out of the cult and meet me and at a place I can be with him. So pretty much this man and woman, part of the cult members decide to pretty much take Julian to Niagara Falls, but really they're kidnapping him. So they go to the hotel, and he kind of realizes this is happening, and so while they're in the hotel and he's getting breakfast in the morning inside the different office in the hotel or the motel, he pretty much poisons them with the ginseng weed from that he seen outside, the ginseng plant that was outside the motel, and pretty much poisons them. They die, and that's when the police comes in to kind of investigate everything, including going to the cult place and just kind of finding out all this backwards history with it. And it's just a really good show, and that's all I can kind of give you right now, because I feel like there's so much more twist to it. If I can explain it all, it'll be a long video, but I really want to give you the basis and kind of wish you into going into liking it and figuring out yourself, because it's a complete mind fuck. Everybody has their own little snippets of storyline, and so it's very interesting. And one of the things that I think is really funny, I will point out, is that there's another police officer that's part of it too, that kind of helps out with Hillary and Henry, or Hillary and Henry, Heather and Henry. So back a little bit. Henry, who's the detective, and Heather, who's the police officer that we were talking about earlier, they actually end up working together to deal with this, because Heather knows that Henry has been with it. It was been involved with a season 1 Jessica Bill's character's case. So but one thing I think is really funny is that there's a guy, the police officer that's part of it. He's kind of in and out of the season. Everybody else has their own background. We kind of go into everybody's background except for him. He's pretty much there to carry on storyline, pretty much. He's like, oh yeah, I found this and this is what this means, and they're like, oh my god. And so it carries on more to what's going on with with the storyline. He has nothing to do with it, honestly, but it's kind of comical, because he's honestly okay with it, it's just he's in for this plot twist and he's out, So yeah, so I definitely recommend this show. It's really, really good. If you like procedural stuff, it's pretty much that, but mixed with a little mixed with a a thriller kind of thing, suspense. It's a really good. I definitely recommend checking out the first season too, to kind of get the gist of what's going on. But this second season is just it's even better, because they add more depth to it. It adds more intensity, because it's a child. It's like an 11-year-old kid over a full-grown woman. So it's just oh, how does that even how does this person even know how to do this stuff, kind of thing, But both of them are really interesting. The first one's a little more creepier, has a little more cringy moments. This one doesn't really have that much cringe. The season 2 doesn't really have that much cringy moments. There's some parts of it that's pretty cringy, but it's not as cringy and uncomfortable as the first season, that has some parts whereas incest is in play, and this one it's not really incest is play. It's more there's rape scenes, there's a murder, it's pretty much a lot more. It's, in lack of words, it's much more rapier than it is incest. And so it's either way, they're both not great, but it's a little more down, less dramatic, or yeah, I gotta say it's less dramatic than the first one. The first one kind of hits you hard, where this one kind of kind of it seems like second season is more procedural than the first one. So the first one's more psychology, then the second one is a little more procedural. So yeah, so I would definitely recommend it. I think it's a really, really great movie or show. I honestly give it a 9 out of 10. It's a really, really great show. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought. If you liked the show, if you didn't like the show, tell me why. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the notification bell for more of my videos. And I hope to see you guys in the next video.